Welcome to this updated beginner's tutorial for the DJI mic. Even if you maybe have watched other tutorials of the DJI mic, then this video can be worth watching because of the new features. So what is the DJI mic system? The DJI mic is a wireless microphone system that consists of two wireless microphones, and then you have a system that you can plug in either to the camera, you can plug it into a smartphone, you can even plug it into a computer to get crisp audio everywhere. And I will go through everything you need to know about the DJI mic, all from the beginner's level to advanced level. And I will also include lots of nice tips and tricks how to use the DJI mic to get the best out of the system, so make sure to stay all the way to the end so you don't miss anything. So I've been using the DJI mic for a while, and honestly I've been using it more or less on every single shoot and video I have recorded. In some situations I have maybe not used the DJI mic as the main audio source, but I've used it as a backup, and I've really found that this little compact wireless microphone system has been a companion that I just can't live without anymore. In this video we're gonna have three main sections. In the first section we're gonna go through the DJI mic system and all its components and buttons so you know how to use it. In the second section we're gonna go through the menus and all the features and settings we have. And in the third section I'm gonna go through my workflow and how I use the DJI mic so you can get the best audio out of this wireless microphone system. So why should you get the DJI mic? The DJI mic is a wireless microphone system that comes with two wireless microphones. The basic idea is a lot like Rode Wireless Go 2 that also have two wireless microphones and transmitters. But after I got the DJI mic, I haven't actually used the Rode Wireless Go 2 one single time. And after you watch this video, you will also understand why I prefer the DJI mic over the Rode Wireless Go 2. One of the major benefits with a DJI mic is this wireless charging case that comes included. So the transmitters and microphones inside here, they have batteries that last for about 5.5 hours. And the receiver that is in the middle here, that has a battery that lasts for about 5 hours. But when you use that together with this charging case, you have battery that lasts for more than a full day of shooting. And the reason is that you can just take these ones and between each shot and when you have lunch or break, you can just pop them into the charging case and they are fully charged and ready to go when the break is over. But I've set the DJI mic transmitters so they automatically record everything as soon as they are turned on. So I know that even if I get an interference, I don't get a perfect connection between the transmitter and the receiver, I'm gonna have a crisp, perfect audio that I can just download from the DJI mic into the computer and use that as a separate audio track when I'm editing my video. So compare this to if you have a microphone just mounted on the camera, you can't go too far away from the camera before the audio starts getting a lot less good and you're not going to hear me so much. But when you have a wireless microphone that you bring with you all the time that is attached to you, you're going to have crisp audio no matter how far away from the camera you are. Just so you're going to understand what I mean, now I'm going to use this microphone on top of the camera. Let me show you. I'm going to just film it. This is the microphone I'm going to use. That is a freaking expensive Sony microphone. And now you're gonna see that how good the sound is in that one compared to this one. So I'm gonna put that one here, and now that one has a pretty good audio, doesn't it? And that one is pretty good as well. But if I'm going further away, like this, I'm just here. Now that one is not as good anymore, is it? But this one, that one is still pretty good. And let me show you. Compared to this one is a lot better, isn't it? And if I'm going even further. And if we're over here, I bet you can't hear me at all. Let me come back. So that is why you need a microphone that is mounted to the talent instead of on top of the camera. Because the camera, even if it's the most expensive microphone you have, it just can pick up the sound so far. But this little one, that one can do the trick. So back into the studio again. The less interesting thing is maybe this pouch, and if you don't recognize this pouch from other videos, that is because this is the pouch that you actually get when you purchase a DJI mic. If you've seen other pouches where you have a zipper around, those were pre-production models. Inside this pouch, you have two wind muffs that you're going to be able to use to reduce wind sound if you're outside and it's windy. Then you get a little cable, a USB-A, USB-C, and then you also get this TRS cable. So at the back of the wireless charging case, you have a USB-C port. That port is used to charge the wireless charging case. An internal battery of this wireless charging case has a capacity of 1,800 milliampere hours. And the easiest way to use it is that you just take your wireless devices and then you just pop them into the wireless charging case, and that's how easy you charge every device in the DJI mic system. And it takes about 2 hours and 40 minutes to fully charge this charging case from an empty state. So when you open the lid of the wireless charging case, you will see the battery status of all the 3 devices. This little indicator here is for that transmitter and recorder. The one there on the other side, that is for that one, and the one in the middle, that is for the receiver in the system. And if you look at the bottom here, that is how much empty space you have on this transmitter before it starts overwrite all the recordings. And in the charging case, if I take out this receiver, here you can see that we also have a couple of adapters. This is an adapter that so you can connect the system to your iPhone, because this is a little lighting connector. And then on the other side here you have a USB-C, so you can connect this system to a smartphone that has a USB-C connector. And each of these transmitters and the receiver has an internal battery of 320 milliamps. That means that the internal battery of the charging case lasts for 5.6 times the charge of one of these devices. That means that you have the charging case of 1,800 milliampere hours, and these 3 together brings it up to 960 milliampere hours. That means that you can charge these ones almost 2 times before you're out of battery. You have over 15 hours of recording time before you run out of battery in this little compact system. That is just amazing. At the front here you see that we have 4 LEDs, or you can actually see that it's only 2 of them that are lit up. Those are indicating how much battery you have left in the charging case. And each LED represents 25%. So in this case we have 50% charge left in this charging case. Next up, let's talk about the DJI transmitter. And when we start at the top left here, this little LED indicator shows the status of the transmitter. When it's lit up solid with green, it means that it's actually connected to the receiver. And if I turn the receiver off, we're going to see that that one starts blinking. That means that it's not connected to the receiver. That LED can also blink fast. That means that it's actually linking to the DJI receiver, but because I've been storing them inside a charging case, they are already linked up. That can also alternate between red and green, and when it's flashing like that, that means that the firmware is updating. It can also be solid red, and when it's solid red, that means that it's less than 20% left of the battery. It also gives me feedback when I'm charging if I'm not using the DJI charging case. If I plug in a USB-C cord to this one, on the left side we have a USB-C port. That port is used for when we're going to charge it outside the charging case, and when we're going to transfer the files from this one into the computer, or when we're going to transfer the firmware update file from the computer into this device. And below the USB-C port you have the on-off switch, but that is actually more than just on-off. If you double press that one, 1, 2, it mutes the microphone in the transmitter so it doesn't transmit any audio to the receiver, and it also doesn't record any audio to the internal recording. And to turn off the mute, you just double press it again. And you see that indication at the top right also that it's flashing red when it's muted. And on top of it we have the microphone, and then just next to it we have a 3.5mm TRS port. This plug, that is for an external lavalier microphone like this one, so you can just plug it in, and then you're using this microphone instead of that one. Important is though that you cannot connect a microphone that needs 24 or 48 volts to this one. You can only use this kind of microphones that doesn't need any electricity. And at the top here we have another LED. That one is indicating when the transmitter is recording to its internal memory, and as you could see before, that one is flashing this red when it's on mute, and if I turn the recording on, is now red. And to remember when you are using the internal recording is that the DJI mic is actually splitting up the recordings after 30 minutes. So when it has passed 30 minutes, it's going to split the recording and create a new file. And that is important to remember because it happened with me once that I downloaded the file from the transmitter and then I just, where is my recording? Because the audio is not here. And that is because it was split up to 2 files. And the maximum storage is about 14 hours. And when you have recorded those 14 hours, then it's going to overwrite the oldest media. So you're going to always have about 14 hours of your oldest media stored on this one before it overwrites the oldest one. Next here on the side we have a link button. That one is used if you need to link up the transmitter to the receiver. That button is actually doing more than just that. When you have your receiver connected to your smartphone and you are in the camera app, if you are in video mode and you press that button, the camera on the smartphone is start recording. And if you are in photo mode and you press that button, well, then the camera takes a picture. And last we have the record button to start and stop the recording. But I'm actually never using that one, and I'm going to tell you more about that later in this video. And now when you watch this far, why not hit that subscribe button also? Because I think that you really like this video. And then you can hit the thumbs up. And if you really like this video and think, oh Mats, this was really useful, thank you so much, then a super thanks is highly appreciated. And there is one more thing about this transmitter, and that is at the bottom here, we have these 4 connectors, and those are to charge the device and you pop it into the charging case. And there is one more thing that I should bring up, and that is this little fuzzy thing, this little dead cat. And that one is being attached at the top of the microphone to block out wind noise. And the way you do that is that here, that one looks a little bit, you can see that it has some things on the side that is flat. That one just lines up with those little things on the microphone. So you just put it like this. So it matches up, you can just twist it, there it goes, and then you just twist it, and there it stops, and now it's super attached, it's never coming off. And then at the back side here we have these little clips, you can clip it onto your clothing, for example, like this. And also on this clip, because this clip is magnetic, on this clip you also have a little magnet, so you can take the magnet off, it's pretty strong, the sucker. And then you can put the microphone like that, and you put the magnet at the back of your shirt, and then you can have it like that. And you can also invert that, you have the microphone on the inside and that little clip like that instead. And you can use that little magnet to actually make the microphone stand on a table, because it can't stand like that. It's just super annoying, it doesn't stand. But you can make it sit on the side like that, and then you can make the microphone stand on a table. So let's put back the transmitter into the charging case so we can continue with the next device. And when you do that and you have used this magnetic clip and you maybe, oh, I'm going to attach it at the back here. You line it up nicely like this, and then you're going to put it back into the charging case, and you, what the, it's not going downward. That is because the magnet has to be at the top part of the back side to be able to slide down into the charging case. So next thing is the DJI receiver. And the most obvious thing about the receiver is of course the screen you see at the front, that is an OLED screen, but it's also a touch screen, and that is how you maneuver and go into the menus and things here. And we're gonna go through the menu and all the settings later in this video. And at the side of this one we have the on-off switch. You can hold that one for about 1.5 seconds and the screen and receiver turns off. Do it again and it turns on, and it actually also doubles as a screen lock button. So if you tap that one once, you're locking the screen, so you can touch it and do things just by mistake. You just tap it once and the screen is unlocked again. And next to it we have the USB-C port. That one is also used for 3 different things. The first thing is of course that you can charge it if it's outside the charging case. The next thing you're going to use it for is to transfer a firmware file from the computer onto a receiver when you need to update the firmware. And the last thing is that you can connect this one also to a computer, so you can use these microphones as wireless microphones for your computer. And on the other side we have a headphone jack. That is where you can plug in the 3.5mm TRS headphones, so you can monitor the audio that is received. And the out port, that is where you connect your TRS cable that goes from this one into your camera, so you can record the audio directly in on the video, so you don't need to dump it down from the transmitter. And what is a TRS cable? Those are the cables with 2 black lines here, because first it says T stands for tip, and then we have a ring that is between, and then we have the sleeve. And if you have 3 of these black ones, is tip, ring, sleeve. And on the back side, this one is called an expansion port. That's where you can connect these adapters that you also have in a charging case. So if I take the lightning adapter out from the case, I can slide it on here. And here you see that we have an arrow at the top, and here we have an arrow on that one also. So those two are going to go together, and slide it in and slide it all the way in, so it's flat on the back side. And now you can connect this one at the bottom of your phone, so you can use this microphone as a wireless microphone to your smartphone. And here I can also put this hot shoe, cold shoe adapter. So I just, to put that one on so I can mount this one on the top of my camera, I need to actually flip this one open like this. And then I'm gonna slide this one on again from where the arrow is, like that. It's a little bit tricky in the beginning. That's how you put the hot shoe and cold shoe adapter on. And this one is compatible with sliding on from both ways on the camera. So you can slide it on like this if you are behind the camera, and if you are in front of the camera instead, you can just take it off, flip it around, and then you can put it on that way instead. And that way you can see the screen of this receiver, both if you are behind or in front of the camera. Just one more thing, when you have connected the receiver to your smartphone and you have filmed something and you bring up the video and you're going to play it, the audio won't play. Unplug it and then play the video on your smartphone. Let's start at the top left. Here it says M. That is indicating the recording mode we are in. M stands for mono. That means that we have the left and the right channel. And when we are using both transmitters and 2 microphones, the audio from those 2 are distributed equally between the left and the right channel. And that is really, really annoying if you are using it for 2 different people and one is talking really loud and one is talking really, really quiet. Because when you're going to edit that in the computer later on, they are all going to be baked in equally into the left and to the right channel. So you can't just increase the volume on one of them and not the other. So when you use it for 2 people, then I prefer to use it in stereo. So you swipe down, go into the menu, and here we have mono. If I tap that one, we have mono safety. Mono safety is about the same as mono. It's distributed equally between the left and the right channel, but it's recording one of the channels 6 decibels lower, more quiet. And that is good, for example, if you are talking really loud and you love to express yourself like, oh, this is cool! When you do that, it's getting really, really loud. It can go over 0 dB, which means that the audio is going to be distorted. It's not going to be usable. When you use a safety channel, you can bring in that audio from that channel that is recorded a little bit more quiet, so it's not being distorted. So that can be super handy sometimes. And if you tap that one again, then you go into stereo mode. That means that the left one is going to be recorded to one channel and the right one is going to be recorded to another channel. And when you are in editing, you can then adjust the volume of each channel so you can get a good audio level in your post-production. The next thing you're going to see is the +1. That is the receiver gain. That means how much you increase or decrease the volume basically when it leaves the receiver and it's sent to, for example, your camera. That will not affect the audio volume that is recording into the transmitter because it's not doing anything there. It's just boosting it first when it's reached the receiver. And if you don't see anything there, that is because that one is set to 0. So if I slide down, it's actually in the same order. So at the top left, you have the recording mode, and then you have the receiver gain. If you take a look at the menu, first you have the recording mode, and then you have the receiver gain. So it's sorted in the same order. So if I go into that one and adjust that one to 0 by sliding, then you're going to see that it's no longer there. So that's why you maybe don't see it on your device. And next to the receiver gain, you can see it's empty. And that is because it's first when you plug in a headphones into this one where something is happening. Now you can see that you have an indicator here for headphones being connected. And to adjust the volume that goes to the headphones, just go into the menu and then slide till you see the little headset icon, and then you can tap, and here you can adjust the volume of the headphone. And next to that one, we have the transmitter receiver strength signal. So that is basically how strong these ones are connected to each other. And at the top right here, we have the battery indicator for the receiver. So to remember, it's like the top row, that one is for the receiver, and then the bottom row, that is for the transmitter. And that means that when we go to the next row, that is for the transmitter. So the first thing we're going to see that it says +6. That means that the transmitter gain is set to +6. That means that we are increasing the volume inside this one. So we are also getting an increased volume that is recorded into the internal recording. When I'm using this one on two different people, I'm talking very loud and the other one is talking very quiet. Well, then I can adjust those transmitter gains independently so we get the same volume when the audio is coming into the receiver. The next thing is this little red dot here. That one is indicating the recording is active on a transmitter, so it's recording into the internal storage. And then next to that one, it says an L. That means that in stereo mode that I'm in now, because it says S at the top left, then this one is recording into the left channel. And to adjust that, you can just go into the settings and go to the record mode, and then you can just tap and set it to mono instead. And then that one disappears because it's not recording into just one of the channels. It's recording equally into both channels. And then at the very right, we see battery indicator again, and that is the battery level of the transmitter. And then at the very bottom, then we see this audio indicator that shows how loud the audio that is recorded here. So if I take this very close here, we can see it goes up to yellow and then up to red. And then when it goes up to red, it's distorted, so you can't hear anything. This is really bad. But if I have it, for example, here, we can see that it's in a good level. It's just peeking up into the yellow, and that's where we would like to have it. We would like to be at the upper part of the green, not into the yellow preferably, and definitely not into the red. And then here we can also see if it's muted. So if I double tap the on-off switch on the transmitter and take a look at the receiver at the same time, you can see that it's crossed over with a slash, and that means that it's turned off, and now we don't see any bouncing there either. So I can turn off the mute, and I can also do that here. I can just slide up, and here we have mute as well, so I can turn off the mute, and then the audio is being received again. So now let's go through the menu itself. When we slide down, the first thing we had is the audio setting, and that's what we were looking on before. That M stands for mono, and then we have mono with safety channels, and then we have the stereo. And here at the right side, we can actually switch what receiver that is going to be recorded into what channel. I don't know why I should use that, but you can switch there between left right and right left. If you are in mono, you cannot do anything there, and if you are in safety, you cannot do anything there either. And the next thing we have, that was the receiver gain. And then we had the volume of the externally connected headsets. So now let's go into the transmitter settings. If we tap that one, we first have the low cut. The low cut means that it cuts away all the audio that is below 150 hertz. That means if you are in a place where you have lots of deep humming or rumbling, then you can enable that one, and it's just not going to be recorded and destroy your audio. I prefer to not have that on and apply a low cut in my editing process instead. Next thing we're going to have, that is the transmitter gain, and that's what we said before. We can set transmitter gain independently on each transmitter, so we can adjust them so they are to the same level. The next thing we have, that is a record stop lock. When that one is enabled, which I have always, then you cannot on a transmitter tap the record to turn off the recording, because I would like to keep the files intact so I can sync them easily in post. And if someone by accident just press the record and stop the recording, it's going to be a new file that is recorded. So that's why it's so much better to just double tap the on off to get a muted section of that same track, that same file, instead of getting two different files. The next thing we have, that is all record, and that one is also set to on, and that's why I'm not using the record button on the transmitter, because every time the transmitter is turned on, the recording is starting automatically. So I know that I always have a backup recording on a transmitter. The next thing we have, that is the vibration notification, and that one is also turned on, and that means that you're getting a haptic feedback. For example, when I turn on mute, it vibrates once, and if I turn off the mute, it also vibrates once. The next thing we have, that is the LED setting. So if you take a look at this one now, it's pretty dull, it's not lit up that much, so it's not disturbing so much, but if it's lit up more than that, that means that this one is set to bright, and you can see how bright this is. If you have this one here and you're recording somewhere, and oh, what is those? Are those something for driving a boat? No, it's not. It's just really, really bright. I would prefer to have a third setting so I could turn these off completely, but that is not available yet, at least. And the next part, that is the general settings for the entire system. Here you have the linking device. Remember that I said that this button on the side on the transmitter is used to link these two together. The next thing we have, that is the brightness of this screen. I have it as dark as possible, but you can make it more bright if you want to. Next thing we have, that is the language. Then we have date and time settings. We have the factory reset. And the last thing here, you have the version it says when you tap that one. All the way to the left, you see the serial number. Then you see the firmware version of the receiver. And then next, you see the firmware version of the transmitter. And then let's go out from this one, go back to the main screen, and then if you swipe up instead, now you access the shortcut settings for the transmitter. So here you can set, for example, if it's going to be recording or not. Just tap that one, record is on, record is off, and it's happening directly on the transmitter as well. Here you can mute, unmute, and the last one, you're going to see how much storage is left on the transmitter. If I turn on both of these ones, then we're going to see that the screen is changing, and I'm going to get it on two sides. And if I would like to manage that one, I just swipe up on that side of the screen. If I would like to manage that one, I swipe up on that side of the screen. And there is actually one thing that I'm really missing in this menu, and I'm going to get back to that one further into this video as well. So if anyone from DJI is watching this, take a note. When I have the receiver here, I always attach this one to the hot shoe of the camera on this cold shoe adapter. And then I take my TRS cable, I plug it into the side in the out port of the receiver, and then I plug the other side into the mic in on my camera. And what's happening now is that all the audio that is coming from the microphones going into the receiver, then it's sent into my camera, and I'm getting the audio baked in to the video that I'm recording. And now it's time to mic up the talent that you're going to record the audio from. So either you can attach this one directly and record the audio directly into the microphone of the transmitter, or you can do as I usually do. I use a lavalier microphone that I connect to this port, and then I attach this little lavalier microphone somewhere instead. And when you attach the microphone, it's important to have a good distance between here, so it's not too loud and too far under here, because when you have it here at the neck, it's going to be very rumbly and it's not going to sound good. And have it centered. If you, for example, have it and you're out hiking and say that, oh, I have a strap on my backpack here, so you're going to attach it here, then it's going to sound good when you're talking like this. And then suddenly you turn the head that way and it's going to be a lot louder. And when you turn that way, it's going to be so much more quiet, so you can't hear anything. That's why it's important to have the microphone centered like this. Or you can have it, for example, you can hide it in a hat, or if you have a big hair thingy, you can attach it somewhere else. But just so it moves with you like this, or it's in the middle. Because when we talk like this, it's natural to have a louder sound like this. It's more quiet when you're not looking at the person you're talking to. The microphone is omnidirectional. That means that it's capturing the sound all the way around it. But now when we're using both of these microphones, I can see the data from both here. I can see that, oh, the audio of the left one, that is a little bit stronger, just because we have a transmitter gain of +6 and we don't have that one on the other one. So here we can just make sure that, oh, that one is a little bit too hot. It goes up to the yellow a lot. Swipe up, and this is where I would like to have the transmitter gain as well. I can't access the transmitter gain by swiping up, so the only way to do that is to go all the way into the menu to the transmitter settings, then find the transmitter gain, and that's where you can adjust the transmitter gain. Please, DJI, add the transmitter gain to this shortcut menu so you can swipe up and access that there. It will be so much more handy. And also when you do that, so you can get these audio meter together with the transmitter gain settings, so you can see how loud the audio is when you are adjusting transmitter gain, because now you first have to adjust the transmitter gain and then you have to go back and see, oh, it's a good level, no it's not. Then you have to go back into the setting again. It would just be so much easier to have those at the same place. And if you're in a windy environment, don't forget these ones, because if you record the wind rustle into the microphone, it's almost impossible to get rid of. And the system also gives you feedback. If this cord is unplugged, you're going to see that here, and then when you plug the cord in, you're also going to get a feedback on the screen. And the link to these lavalier microphones that I'm using, and also links to all these other things, I'm going to leave that in the description box below. So the next thing you're going to do, that is to watch that video, because that is the video YouTube recommended to watch next. And the video on that side, well, that is the latest uploaded video I have. I hope you liked this video. Over and out from Sweden. Bye.